Hey guys, Christos here. Welcome back for another video. In today's video, I am going to be going through my top 5 Vanguard ETFs that you can invest into in the UK. Okay, so kicking things off with number 5, we have the FTSE 100 ETF. And basically all this does is cover the top 100 companies based on the London Stock Exchange. The short code for this stock is VUKE, so you're more than welcome to go ahead and search for this on your investment app if you have one. And the market price for this ETF is going to be £31.30. So basically what you're going to do is if you wanted to buy one share of this ETF, it's going to cost you £31.30. And basically that's going to give you access to 103 stocks that is based in this fund. One thing that comes with ETFs is an ongoing charge. However, they are very well known to be extremely low. And as you can see here, the ongoing charge for this ETF is only 0.09%, which is so cheap and one of the main benefits for actually owning an ETF in the first place. If you were to go ahead and pick a fund manager to look after your investments, these guys are going to be charging you up to 3 to 5% every single month on your funds, which is just wasting money away. Another great benefit about this ETF and all of the ETFs that I'm going to be talking about in this video is they all offer quarterly dividends. And as you can see here, this index fund pays out dividends quarterly. It's going to be 2.63% of the market price. So you could probably go ahead and work that out. It's not going to be too much if you only own one share, but the more shares you add, this obviously is going to add up over time. Next up, we have the FTSE 250 ETF, and the short code for this one is going to be VMID. And basically the purpose of this fund is to simply cover stocks number 101 to 350 on the London Stock Exchange. So basically the FTSE 100 tracks the top 100 companies on the London Stock Exchange. This one here tracks the next best 250 companies on that exchange. As you can see here, the market price for this one is going to be £35.71, and the number of stocks that you're going to get for that is 253, which is a little bit higher than the official FTSE 250. The ongoing charge for this is slightly more expensive than the other one, but this is going to be a percentage that you are literally never ever going to see or anything like that. I've added this one higher than the FTSE 100 ETF simply because it gives you access to more companies. This one here is also personally one of my highest holdings as an ETF, and I'm sure if you've watched my portfolio updates you would have seen this one feature a numerous amount of times. Next up we have the FTSE All World ETF, which has the short code of VWRL, and it pretty much does what it says on the tin. It covers stocks all around the world. As you can see here, it says that it covers stocks up to 50 different countries. And what this one is great for is for those investors that don't really want to get tied down to a specific country or a market. They want to invest in the global economy. And this is the perfect ETF for that. As you can see, it has up to 3,589 stocks in the fund, which is incredibly higher than any of the other ETFs and funds that I'm going to be talking about in this video, which is also going to mean it's going to typically be lower risk than the other ones as well. But like I said, just like the fees, none of these funds I personally believe to be high risk at all. Investing into individual stocks is going to be much riskier than doing any of these. Once again, this does offer a dividend payment of 1.27% as a yield every single year based into different quarters. This is a little bit lower than the one previous, but the stock price is higher, so the dividend payment you're probably going to get is going to be about the same, if not a little bit higher. Next up at number 2, we have the FTSE Emerging Markets ETF. Now this one here is going to be typically known as more of a riskier ETF to invest into, simply because we are going to be investing into companies that are basically emerging. And if you didn't know what an emerging market is, the official description here from Investopedia is an emerging market economy is the economy of a developing nation that is becoming more engaged with global market as it grows. So basically we're not talking here about established US companies or established UK companies. Critically, it says an emerging market economy is transitioning from a low income, less developed, often pre-industrial economy towards a modern industrial economy, with a higher standard of living. Now, this ETF here is going to cost you £51.48 if you wanted to invest into it, and it's going to give you coverage over 1,861 stocks. It does have a little bit more of an expensive ongoing charge, simply because I believe there is more stocks in this ETF to manage it. I'm not too sure how Vanguard managed their charges and stuff like that, but this is something you can definitely look more into on their website. But all I do know is that it is very, very low, and I don't need to worry about it too much. So basically, just just a couple of the examples in this ETF are companies like Alibaba, different oil companies, all of the companies that are pretty much classed as high risk companies, but because you have such a large coverage, to me that really just takes the risk down a little bit. Okay, so finally we are here at number 1 and my favorite ETF from Vanguard of all time, and you may have already guessed it if you've been watching this channel already, and that is the S&P 500 ETF. Now, if you didn't know what the S&P 500 is, this is basically the index that tracks the top 500 companies in the United States of America and is known to be one of the best indexes of all time in terms of performance. What I'm going to do is throw up an all-time chart of this ETF, which also has the short code of VUSA if I haven't mentioned it already, and it's going to cost you £59.80 if you wanted to buy one share of this ETF. It's going to cover 507 stocks, and out of all the different ETFs I have mentioned in this video, it's going to have the lowest fee. So you're getting the best performing stock, the lowest fee, and once again with 507 stocks, you are going to get a very, very large coverage. One analogy that I always like to use when explaining the risk of investing into the S&P 500, especially in terms of an ETF, is that the way that your stocks would have to go down to zero in this ETF is simply for America to literally be non-existent. And in the time of me living and pretty much my ancestors living, that hasn't been the case yet. So in terms of risk, I think this is so low risk, and it's just going to be one of the best ETFs that you could possibly invest into, and that is why it has got my number 1 spot. So there you go, guys. They are my top 5 Vanguard ETFs that you can invest into in the UK. If you wanted to get involved and start investing into ETFs or start investing into Vanguard products, then you should go ahead and sign up to Free Trade if you are a beginner investor. This is an absolutely fantastic platform, and if you sign up with my link down below, you're actually going to get a free stock worth anything between £3 and £200 just by depositing £1 onto the platform. Other than that, hit a like on this video if you got some value from it, comment down below with any ETFs that you're interested in, and having said all that, I'll catch you in the next one. Take care.